What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. It's another reaction today, and we're going to be reacting to the fastest maze solving competition on Earth. Now, this could be super interesting, or this could just be the most boring video of all time, but it looked intriguing to me, so maybe y'all might enjoy it, right? Alright, so let's get straight into this video, shall we?
This tiny robot mouse can finish this maze in just 6 seconds.
6 seconds? I'm quicker than that. Ask my girl. That's a fast car though.
Every year around the world, people compete in the oldest robotics race. The goal is simple: get to the end of the maze as fast as possible.
Person who came second.
Wow.
20 milliseconds.
But competition has
It's pretty impressive. These little small gadgets can go really fast.
grown fierce.
When somebody saw my design, they said, "You're crazy."
Why is there so much tension? What's wrong?
Dude, that thing was zooming.
Honor?
Honor.
This video was sponsored by Onshape. In 1952, mathematician Claude Shannon constructed an electronic mouse named Theseus that could solve a maze. The trick to making the mouse intelligent was hidden in a computer built into the maze itself, made of telephone relay switches. The mouse was just a magnet on wheels, essentially, following an electromagnet controlled by the position of the relay switches.
It is now exploring.
Whatever this guy's saying sounds very interesting. I don't even know what that means, but so what I'm guessing is like there's so it's like a magnet, and there's like electromagnetic like wires underneath, and whenever there's like a signal that goes off, that magnet follows that signal.
The correct path, he registers the information in his memory. Later, I can put him down in any part of the maze that he's already explored, and he'll be able to go directly to the goal without making a single false turn.
Theseus is often referred to as one of the first examples of machine learning. A director at Google recently said that it inspired the whole field of AI.
Oh shit.
25 years later,
so AI was pretty much started because this dude decided, I want to make a rat figure out a maze? Damn.
editors at the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or IEEE, caught wind of a contest for electronic mice, or La Mouse Electronique, as they had heard. They were ecstatic. Were these the successors to Theseus? But something had been lost in translation. These mice were just batteries in cases, not robots capable of intelligent behavior. But the misunderstanding stuck with them, and they wondered, why couldn't we hold that competition ourselves? In 1977, the announcement for IEEE's Amazing Micro Mouse Maze Contest attracted over 6,000 entrants.
Wow.
But the number of successful competitors dwindled rapidly. Eventually, just 15 entrants reached the finals in 19...
Dude, those are gigantic mice, bro. Oh my god, compared to what we just saw, like, I guess what we have nowadays, those mice are freaking huge. These are huge. They don't even look like mice, except for that one right there.
In 79. But by this point, the contest had garnered enough public interest to be broadcast nationwide on the evening news. And just like the rumor that inspired the competition, Micromouse began to spread across the world.
What the hell? Oh wow. So this is a real thing that people were into in, I guess, the 80s, 90s? What? Why haven't I ever heard of this? Just kidding. That was a stupid
Roofers
joke.
are furious about this new product that's going viral. Replace your whole roof in as little as...
Wow. So it went from it almost went from being really popular, I guess, to kind of like, I mean, I haven't heard of this ever. Or maybe the world is just so big and there's so much information given to us. Like, this is like the I don't even know. I never heard of this shit. I never heard of this shit.
探し求めるのか、まあ一旦放送校になるのかな。
はい、まず昨年のこの大会ですね、全日本マイクロマウス大会の、ハーフサイズ競技部門で優勝してまして、去年作ったロボットからさらにブラッシュアップして作ってきたロボットで今年も連覇狙っていこうと思っています。
Even people in the top.
Man. So, there's sizes of mouses, I guess, because he said he's at the half size, so I'm guessing there's different sizes of the mouses you can use. Right? Is that what he meant by that? Let's go back. Hold on. I gotta see what he said. Yeah, he said when the half size division is half size, so I guess the different divisions depending on the size of like your mouse. This dude's super smart though.
People in the top 2 or 3, you can see them trying to set their mice up and they can barely find the buttons to press because it's absolutely nerve-wracking.
Dude, what the hell?
Well, it could be horse racing, it could be motor racing, it could be mouse racing.
That's insane. That thing got there in 9
If
seconds.
you have a shred of competitiveness in you, you want to win, right?
Just like a real mouse, a micro mouse has to
Damn.
be fully autonomous. No internet connection, no GPS or remote control, and no nudging it to help it get unstuck. It has to fit all its computing, motors, sensors, and power supply in a
Oh,
frame
shit.
no longer or wider than 25 centimeters. There isn't a limit on the height.
That's small, so the width and length are pretty tiny, but the height isn't? Dude, that's insane! This is so cool, actually. I actually haven't found this video, dude. This is really cool. Dude, they're like little tiny robots, bro. And there's like regulations, rules.
Of the mouse, but the rules don't allow climbing, flight,
Okay.
or any forms of combustion. So rocket propulsion, for example, is out of the equation.
So what makes it go so fast? That's impressive.
The maze itself is a square about 3 meters on each side, subdivided by walls into corridors only 18 centimeters across. And in 2009, the half-size micromouse category was introduced, with mice smaller than 12.5
What the
centimeters
hell?
per side and paths just 9 centimeters across. The final layout of the maze is only revealed at the start of each competition, after which competitors
Wow.
are not allowed to change the code in their mice.
まあ小峰さんがおっしゃっていた宇宙人枠とはこのことか。
So their mouse is supposed to figure all this out on the first go? Or do they keep doing multiple chances and so it collects more information? So you go faster and faster and faster every time.
勝利争いは苛烈です。7秒65。
The big 3 competitions, All Japan, Taiwan, and USA's APEC, usually limit the time mice get in the maze to 7 or 10 minutes, and mice are only allowed 5 runs from the start to the goal.
So if
Okay.
you spend a lot of time searching, that's a penalty.
Makes
Right.
sense. So the strategy for most micromice is to spend their first run carefully learning the maze and looking for the best path to the goal,
Okay.
while not wasting too much time. Then they use their remaining tries to sprint down that path for the fastest runtime possible.
Oh, that makes sense. So you're allowed to put your mouse anywhere you want. You're just on the outside rim, so you're just allowed to put it wherever. But you have a time limit, I guess, on where you're trying to find the spot. Okay.
Solving a maze may sound simple enough, though it's important to remember that with only a few infrared sensors for eyes, the view from inside the maze is a lot less clear than what we see from above.
Okay.
Still, you can solve a maze with your eyes closed. If you just put one hand along one wall, you will eventually reach the end of most common
That's
mazes.
true.
And that's exactly what some initial Micromouse competitors realized too. And after a simple wall-following mouse took home gold in the first finals, the goal of the maze was moved away from the edges and freestanding walls were added,
Ah.
which would leave a simple wall-following mouse searching forever.
Oh, that's actually very smart.
Your next instinct might be to run through
That's a good way to take out that like sleight of hand because then everyone's gonna win.
the maze, taking note of every fork in the road. Whenever you reach a dead end or a loop, you can go back to the last intersection and try a different path. If your last left turn got you nowhere, you'd come back to that intersection and go right instead. You can think of this strategy as the one a headstrong mouse might use, running as deep into the maze as it can and turning back only when it can't go any further.
That's smart.
This search strategy, known as depth first search, will eventually get the mouse to the goal. The problem is, it might not be the shortest route.
Yeah, it seems like
because
it takes
the
too
mouse
long.
only turns back
It's like too many like checks and balances.
when it needs to, so it may have missed a shortcut that it never tried. The sibling to this search algorithm, breadth first search, would find the shortest path. With this strategy, the mouse runs down one branch of an intersection until it reaches the next one. And then it goes back to check the path it skipped before moving on to the next layer of intersection.
Ooh, that seems like it'll take
So the mouse
forever.
checks every option it reaches, but all that backtracking means
Yeah.
that it's rerunning paths dozens
Oh
of
my
times.
god.
At this point, even searching the whole maze often takes less time. So why not just do that? A meticulous mouse could search all 256 cells of the maze, testing every turn and corner to ensure it has definitely found the shortest path. But searching so thoroughly isn't
Takes
necessary
forever.
either.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. This video is actually like super interesting. Probably the most interesting video I've ever seen in a while.
Instead, the most popular micromouse strategy is different from all of these techniques.
Really?
It's a search algorithm known as flood fill. This mouse's plan is to make optimistic journeys through the maze. So optimistic, in fact, that on their first journey, their map of the maze doesn't have any walls at all.
Oh shit.
They simply draw the shortest path to the goal and go. When their optimistic plan inevitably hits a wall that wasn't on their map, they simply mark it down and update their new shortest path to the goal. Running, updating, always
Oh, shit.
aiming for the goal. Under the hood of the algorithm, what the micromouse is
smart.
marking on their map is the distance from every square in the maze to the goal. To travel optimistically, the mouse follows the
Okay.
trail of decreasing numbers down to 0. Whenever they hit a wall, they update the numbers on their map to reflect the new shortest distance to the goal.
Oh wow.
This strategy of following the numerical path of least resistance gives the flood fill algorithm its name. The process resembles
Bro, who came up with this shit? Who? Like, who coded this? Who came up with this shit? Someone get them a degree.
flooding the maze with water and updating values based on the flow. Once the mouse reaches the goal, it can smooth out the path it took and get a solution to the maze. However, it may look back and imagine an even shorter, uncharted path it could have taken. The mouse might not be satisfied that it's found the shortest path just yet. While this algorithm isn't guaranteed to find the best path on first pass, it takes advantage of the fact that micromice need to return to the start to begin their next run. So if the mouse treats its return as a new journey, it can use the return trip
Oh,
to search the maze
shit.
as well. Between these two attempts, both optimized to find the shortest path
That's
from
smart
start
as
to finish,
fuck.
it's extremely likely that the mouse will discover it. And the mouse will have done it efficiently, often leaving irrelevant areas of the maze entirely untouched. Floodfill offers both an intelligent and practical way for micromice to find the shortest path through the maze. Once there was a clear strategy to
Damn.
find the shortest path, and once the microcontrollers and sensors
That maze looks
required to implement
insane.
it became common, some people believed Micromouse had run its course. As a paper published in IEEE put it, at the end of the 1980s, the Micromouse contest had outlived itself.
Damn, so they think it's like, we made him too perfect. We made the micro mouse too good. Like, there's no other way you can solve a maze faster than this. Okay.
The problem was solved and did not provide any new challenges. In the 2017 All Japan Micromouse competition, both the bronze and silver placing mice found the shortest path to the goal. And once they did, they were able to zip along it as quick as 7.4 seconds.
Wow.
But Masakazu Utsunomiya's winning mouse, Red Comet, did something entirely different. This is the shortest path to the goal, the one that everyone took.
Okay.
This is the path that Red Comet took.
What the
It's a
hell?
full 5.5 meters longer. That's because micromice aren't actually searching for the shortest path, they're searching for the fastest path.
Okay.
And Red Comet's search algorithm figured out that this path had fewer turns to slow it down.
Yeah.
So even though the path was longer, it could end up being faster. So
How?
it took that risk.
3回目の走行です。やはりこっち側のルートを選んで、
No way.
そのままゴールしました。
Oh shit, he beat it by 2 seconds. It just had to be faster. Faster wheels, so less turns. The faster it is, you get out beat yours.
It won
Wow.
by 131 milliseconds.
Wow. I guess speed does outbeat intelligence. This is
Differing routes
insane.
in competition are now more common than not, and even just getting to the goal remains difficult, whether due to a mysterious algorithm or a quirk of the physical maze.
Damn. That's a big one, bro.
Micromice don't always behave as you'd expect.
なんですが、実はこのマウスなぜか走行中に止まってフラッシュ書き込むときにフリーズするっていうバグを抱えていまして今4分ぐらい走ってたのでそれ起きたら僕はもう倒れてました。
Wow, that's
Micromouse
insane.
is far from solved, because it's not just a software problem or a hardware problem.
Yeah?
It's both. It's a robotics problem. Red Comet didn't win because it had a better search algorithm or
It's 'cause it's
it had
faster.
faster motors.
Oh.
Its cleverness came from how the brains and body of the mouse interacted together.
It turns out solving the maze is not the problem, right? It never was the problem, right? But it's actually about navigation, and it's about going fast.
Every year, the robots
That's what I'm
get smaller,
saying.
faster, lighter. There is still plenty of innovation left, and this
Oh,
is
bro, what are you trying to make here, bro? Like, this like, how fast you trying to make this hoe? And like, what the hell is this guy's, bro? There must be like a size difference. Competitions, but like, dude, something that small, like that small, should be able to zip through here.
small group of devotees in Japan busy building quarter-sized Micromouse, which would sit on
Oh
a quarter.
shit. The size of a quarter, that's insane.
Nearly 50 years on,
Wow.
Micromouse is bigger than ever.
早い。これよりも早く残ってる。
Bro, look, you would enter this competition.
10秒
It's not bad.
Competitions have appeared solved at first glance before. The high jump was an Olympic sport since 1896, with competitors refining their jumps using variations like the scissor, the western roll, and the straddle over the decades, with diminishing returns. But once foam padding
The
became
hell?
standard in competition, Dick Fosbury rewrote the sport in 1968 by becoming the first Olympian to jump over the pole backwards. Now almost every high
Everyone
jumper
does it, bro.
what's known as the Fosbury flop.
Yeah, dude, my friend Kaysen, dude. Shout out to Kaysen O'Reilly, bro. Freaking does high jump for Oklahoma. I think he's still at Oklahoma. I could be wrong. He could be somewhere else. I haven't checked up on his Insta, but yeah. That's the type of jump he does. I know there's different types of jumps. That's interesting.
If Micromouse had indeed stopped in the 1980s, the competition would have missed its own Fosbury flops. Two innovations that completely changed how Micromice ran. After all, a lot can change in a sport where competitors can
Facts.
solder on.
Also, I feel like, you know, technology also advanced a lot. Like, think about what's been coming out recently with Tesla and shit. You know, they have like little chips inside Teslas that can just they can just drive your whole car.
Any upgrade they can imagine.
It's probably because of Micromouse.
The first Fosbury flop was one of the earliest innovations in Micromouse, and had nothing to do with technology. It was simply a way of thinking outside the box, or rather, cutting through the box. Every mouse used to turn corners like this. But everything changed with the mouse Mighty 3.
So Mighty Mouse 3 implemented
that?
diagonals for the first time.
Oh.
And that turned out to be
Wow.
a much better idea than we really thought. And because it's cool, you know, maze designers often put diagonals into the maze. now.
Yeah.
So, you know, you could end up with a maze where it never comes up, but most of the time it's actually a benefit.
In order to
That's
pull off
awesome.
diagonals, the chassis of the mouse had to be reduced to less than 11 centimeters wide, or just 5 centimeters for half-size Micromouse. The
Oh,
sensors
shit.
and software of the mouse had to change too. When you're running between parallel walls, all you have
Yeah.
to do is maintain an equal distance between your left and right infrared readings. But a diagonal requires an entirely new algorithm.
Oh
One that
shit.
essentially guides the mouse as if
Bro, see, I don't think like that, bro. These guys think like that. This shit's smart as fuck. This is interesting as fuck.
it had blinders on.
Normally, if you're going along the side of a wall
Yeah.
or something like that, you know, most of the time you can see the wall all the time. And so that helps you to guide yourself and you know when you're getting off. But in the diagonal
Okay.
situation, you just see these walls coming at you.
And if you veer even a
Bro, how long do you think that guy's been doing that? Like, since it ever started or some shit? Like, damn. He's pretty old, man, but he seems smart, like a smart guy. Like, I'd love to do this. I feel like it's not that hard, but I feel like you can't just start doing it either.
tiny bit off course, snagging a corner is a lot less forgiving than sliding against a wall. Diagonals are still one of the biggest sources of crashes in competition today. But in exchange, a jagged path of turns transforms into one narrow straightaway.
Damn! That one's impressive as hell.
These days, nearly every competitive micromouse is designed to take this risk.
Damn.
Cutting diagonals opened up room for even more ideas. Around the same time, mice were applying similar strategies to turning. Instead of stopping and pivoting through two right turns, a mouse could
So you're gonna
sweep
curve
around
around?
in a single U-turn motion. And once the possibility of diagonals were added, the total
Yeah,
number of
that's what I was
possible
thinking
turns
about.
opened up exponentially. The maze
Damn.
was no longer just a grid of square hallways. With so many more options to weigh, figuring out the best path became more complex than ever.
Shit.
But the payoff was dramatic. What was once a series of stops and starts could now be a single fluid snaking motion. How Micromice imagined and moved through the maze had changed completely.
That was cool. See, when that shit happens, bro, it looks so satisfying. It's so satisfying.
Available technology was getting upgrades over the years as well. Tall and unwieldy arms that were used to find walls were replaced by a smaller array of infrared sensors on board the mouse. Precise
Oh,
stepper
shit.
motors were traded in for continuous DC motors and encoders.
The DC motors give you more power for less size and weight, and so we were interested in doing that. So then you have to have a servo. You have to actually have feedback on the motor to make it do the right thing.
Gyroscopes.
I don't even know what that
had an
is talking
extra sense
about.
of orientation.
Oh, I used to build hoverboards actually, and so wait, to balance you on the board, they had gyro boards inside.
It's like a compass.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Yeah.
have this thing with you.
They came about because of mobile phones, really. So the technology provides people with things which weren't there before. All of the
Oh
turning
shit, okay.
is done based off the gyro rather than counting pulses off the wheels because it's much more reliable.
But even with all the mechanical upgrades, the biggest physical issue for Micromice went unaddressed for decades.
What?
One thing you'll see almost every competitor holding is a roll of tape. Once you
Yeah, what's
look
that
for it,
for?
you'll see it everywhere. This tape isn't for repairs or reattaching fallen parts. It's to gather specks of dust off the wheels in between rounds. At the speed
Really?
and precision these robots are operating, that tiny change in friction is enough to ruin a run.
Are you
If you
fucking
want
with
to
me?
turn while driving fast, you need centripetal force to accelerate you into the turn.
Okay.
And the faster
I was about to tell this guy, like, explain that shit to me. How?
you're moving, the more force you need to keep you on the track. The only centripetal force for a car turning on flat ground is friction, which is determined by two things: the road pushing up the weight of the car, or the normal force, multiplied by the static coefficient of friction, which is the friction of the interface between the tire and road surface. This is why racetracks have banked turns. The steep angles help cars turn with less friction, because part of the normal force itself now points in to contribute to the centripetal force required.
Okay.
If the banked turn is steep enough, cars can actually make the turn without any friction at all. The
Oh,
inward
shit.
component of the normal force alone is enough to provide the centripetal force required to stay on track.
Bro, whoever came up with this shit, you're smart as fuck. Someone needs to give you a degree. My
Micromice
God.
are no different, and they don't have banked turns to help. As they got faster and faster, by the early 2000s, their limiting factor was no longer speed, but control of that speed.
Damn.
They had to set their center of gravity low and slow down during turns to avoid slipping into a wall or flipping over.
So that's
But
too
unlike
bulky.
race cars,
Something like
there
that
wasn't
one.
anything in the rules to stop Micromouse competitors from solving this problem by engineering an entirely new mechanism.
What?
Micromouse's second Fosbury flop was
What
almost
is
considered
this?
a gimmick when the mouse Mokomo 08 first used it in competition.
Mokomo.
You might be staring at the video to try to see it, but you
Yeah,
won't.
what is it?
Instead, it's something you'll hear. That isn't the mouse
Oh,
running its engines.
shit.
It's spinning up a propeller. And while flying over the walls is against the rules, there's nothing in the rules against a mouse vacuuming itself to the ground to prevent slipping.
Dave Otten was
Oh,
the
damn.
first person I saw put a fan on a
Oh,
mouse.
damn.
And he used a ducted fan, and I think he was really looking at kind of reaction force, you know, blowing the thing down. He had a skirt around, but it was not terribly effective. Forgive me for saying so. The idea is to let as little air in as
Yeah.
possible. And like your vacuum
Okay.
cleaner, when you block your vacuum cleaner,
Yeah.
the motor unloads and speeds up, and so the current drops. But if you let too much air in, the current's very high, and these are just quadcopter motors, and they draw a lot of current.
At the scale of Micromouse,
Yeah.
a vacuum fan, often just built from handheld drone parts, is enough to generate a downward
Oh,
force
damn.
5 times the mouse's weight.
Dude, what if this is what, I don't know if y'all remember this, but there's this, like, oh my god, when I was a kid, you get this, car, and it had a fan just like that at the bottom of it. You turn on the remote and turn on the car, and you put the car on walls, bro. You can literally dry a toy car on a wall. That's exactly what this reminds me of.
Wow, okay.
Exactly what it reminds me of.
impressive.
So how much does the car actually weigh?
About 130 grams.
Wow.
If you listen, I don't know if you'll get it on your microphone, but
I don't want that much marijuana.
Oh yeah.
you'll hear the motor slow down, it loads up.
With that much friction, Micromice today can turn corners with a centripetal acceleration approaching 6 Gs.
Jeez.
That's the same as F1 cars.
My god.
Once nearly everyone equipped fans, the added control allowed builders to push the speed limit on Micromice.
When it's allowed to, it will out-accelerate a Tesla Roadster.
Oh,
but not for
shit.
very far.
And they can zip along at up to 7 meters per second, faster than most people can run.
Wow. That's insane. Wow.
Every
Bro, that's like a nerd convention up there. Nerds! Nerds! Just kidding.
one of the features now standard on the modern Micromouse was once an experiment, and the next Fosbury flop might not be far off. The first four-wheeled Micromouse to win the All Japan competition did so in 1988, but it would take another 22 years of the winning mouse
Damn.
growing and losing appendages before four-wheeled mice became the norm. With Micromice still experimenting in 6- and 8-wheeled designs, omnidirectional movement, and even computer vision, who knows what the next paradigm shift will be.
Your time
True.
on the maze actually begins only when you leave the start square. So he's not penalized for any of this time.
But if you want to get started with
Okay.
Micromouse, you don't need to worry about wheel count or vacuum fans or even diagonals.
It is, to my mind, the perfect combination of all the major disciplines that you need for robotics and engineering and programming, embedded systems, all wrapped up in one accessible bundle.
That's pretty
that you
cool.
can do in your living room, and you
Yeah.
don't need a laboratory to run it.
Wow.
You come along because you're curious, and then you think, I could do that. That doesn't look so hard.
That's what I was saying, bro. That's exactly what I was saying.
And then you're doomed, really. If it sucks you in, it turns into quite a journey.
10秒いや時間は問題じゃないんだスタートコンマ頼む行ってくれ
Wow.
すごいです
Wow.
At its core, Micromouse
That's
is
wild.
just about a mouse trying to solve a maze. Though nearly 50 years later, it's a simple problem that's a good reminder there is no such thing as a simple problem.
That's so true. Mouse is here and now. The chance and start creating. Go Mouse, we'll show you how. Yeah, I know the song. I'm just kidding. Man, that's actually very interesting though. Well, I hope you all enjoy the video. We've got some facts. We've got some facts told to us about something that I never heard about Micromouse. Makes sense that I feel like it makes sense with all the technology we have now. I feel like a lot of it came from Micromouse, like when it comes to like sensors and all kind of, yeah, I feel like a lot of Tesla's technology came from Micromouse and the one toy car I told y'all about. But anyways, hope y'all enjoy the video. Leave a like, subscribe. Peace.